right, let's take a look here. Today we're going to make our name tag in Tinkercad. So let's go on Tinkercad, but sign in. Once you get here to Designs, click plus New 3D Design. Now we have here our workspace. Move this out of the way. And so first things first, I like to change my snap grid from 1 millimeter to 0.25. That just makes it so I can move things to smaller amounts. Now for our name tag here, we're going to need 3 shapes at least. So 2 cylinders and 1 cube. Let's go ahead and first things first, we want to set the height of the cube to 4 millimeters and the height of the cylinders to 4 millimeters. So all 3 of them, set it to 4. All right, now we can highlight all of them, and using the align tool, we can get them side by side. And then let's go ahead and let's make this the total length. We want to have about 100 to 120. So let's add 100 millimeters long here and pull these guys out. You need to make sure that everything's about the same size. So the width of this is 20 and the diameter of that is 20, so those match. Now let's go ahead and realign them. And let's zoom in and make sure that they're centered. So this is kind of an eyeball. Boom. Does that look good? Click off. Nope, not perfect. If I go like this, I can align it again. That'll be perfect. And shift right click to scroll over, highlight those 2, and align. Go. Let's bring this guy in a little bit. There we go. And double check the alignment. Perfect. All right. So you know what? I think for this whole shape, I do want it a little bit wider for my name. So I'm going to highlight them all, group it, and then drag it down like that. There you go. This will be nice for a name tag here. So we have the basic plate. What we need to do is sink it down a little bit, put some text and the little ring on the edge. So Control D will duplicate it. I can drag that out. And I know that I want the edges of my name tag to be about 2 millimeters. So let's reduce the size by 2 on both sides. So 120.25. Let's make this 118.25. 31.06. Let's make this 29.06. So that pulls it in by 2. Actually, you know what? Let's drag that in. We also need to lift it up by 2. So at the bottom, we're going to turn this into a hole now. So in theory, this one is slightly smaller than the other. Let's take a look here. Make it center using the align tool and group. Look at that. Nice. We got a nice edge. If you want, you can go ahead and Control Z, click on this one, and you can make it 2 more smaller. That way you would get a 2 millimeter edge. So 29 will go to 27. If you're copying my exact numbers, you can also just round it, like 1/16. You don't need to have the decimals. So now let's go ahead and align again. Align, and group. Now let's take a look at that. Boom, that's even nicer there. Okay, so there's my little lip. We call that a shell. Let's go ahead and let's make the actual ring part here. So, whoops. So when you see that green plane means it's actually up in the air. So Control Z that, and then drag this one straight onto the ground. Double check, look, it's not on the ground. So drag one out again. That one is on the work plane. And drag it up here. So for the outer ring, we want to change this from 20 to 12, both of them. Select both, align along this edge and the center. And perfect, let's change the height of it to 4 so it matches. And we're gonna group, actually we're not gonna group that because we're gonna wait. Now we're gonna drag a hole out. This hole is gonna be 8 on both because this is gonna be the hole where the key goes through. So it needs to have 4 millimeters on both. And now this one, control click, shift click for that one. It's just those two. Align tool. I want it just to align to this one. Center, center, check. Group all that together. Check a look at that. That looks great. Now we're taking out our name. Pop the name in here. Now this is where things are going to get interesting. So I'm going to do this one for my son, Jonathan. Let's go ahead. His name's long. So in order to make this work, I have to do some. What's going on? Okay. I don't want to do a note. Jonathan. All right, now let's go ahead and let's look at the size for the text. If we hold down Shift, it keeps it proportional. Keep it all weird and stretchy. Does it fit? Look at that, it does. So if it didn't, though, you could go and adjust the length. If you didn't want this circle to get all weird, you could ungroup it, right? So you could select ungroup it and then take those two shapes out and then and then stretch it out and then pop them back in. Or actually, yeah, you would have to, you could click on this shape and stretch that without affecting the circular hole. Let's adjust this text down to 4 because we don't want it so tall. And now it should all match. Select A, Control A selects it all, group it all, and you're done. Awesome job here. I can lift it up in the air, then I can take a look all around it. I could rotate it if I wanted to, just to see how it looked. Even rotate it this way in space. Now you can get a really good look at what it looks like when we print it. Control Z a few times to get it back down. You could then take this idea and do anything with it. You could add some shapes. You add some stars into it. Resize them using proportional. You could change, like, for example, Control Z. You could, if you wanted to, put like a star instead of the A, right? You could drag that up and then group it in. You could go back and edit the text and put it somewhere else. You could go and take one of these shapes, for example, the heart. Let's say you wanted, instead of your name tag to be all 3, you could do hearts, like coming up here. So sync this down to 4. Boom. Now you could have a heart in there as a decoration. So Control A and group. And you have a little heart happening there. Go ahead, take a look at all the shapes. As long as the shape is more or less flat, let's throw some gears on there. All right, so we could go back here and ungroup all the way down to the name, go back to the name, and instead of that A, I can do some spaces. Then I can take this gear, shift proportionalize it down, and throw that in there. So Jonathan now has a gear instead of an A. As long as it's at 4 and it matches in there, you can even hit this, shift click that, align, and then center align that gear. Look at that. Control A and group. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing right there. So go ahead, customize yours. Make sure that it's all grouped and it's at least shelled out. If you're doing something different than I made, it has to be at least as complicated. Then go ahead, watch my other video for exporting it, and then sign up on the 3D print sign list, and I'll make it for you.